While regulators have raised concerns over crypto contagion impacting banks, our next guest says the opposite scenario has played out, with banking troubles hurting crypto companies. Joining us now with more is Tatiana Koffman. She's an angel investor and author of mythofmoney.com. Tatiana, thanks for joining us. So you actually wrote an article for us at CoinDesk.com called "Bitcoin was built for this moment." So amid this U.S. banking crisis we're seeing, you say value is flowing into Bitcoin and that a great reset is coming. So first off, I guess, why is Bitcoin climbing while banks are struggling?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Christine. So I'm sort of in Camp Balaji here that, this is kind of the best hedge that we have to keep our funds outside of the system. And I think for the North American audience, it's hard to believe that we live in an environment where a government could do not the right thing, or that our banks could collapse. But a lot of people that grew up in other countries in Eastern Europe or in South America or in Africa, they've seen bank collapses, they've seen bank runs, they've seen monetary policy that's designed to hurt the populace, and they've seen government regimes change. And so for the last 10 years, it's been very easy for those markets to buy into this idea that Bitcoin is a way for you to keep value outside of the system, and that it's a necessity to do so. In the US, we've always felt like our system was safe here. We felt like our banking system was stable. And I think for the first time in history, we're seeing that that's truly not the case. I think 2008 was kind of a warning sign with the derivatives crisis, where we saw so much risk packed into the system that things started to shake a little bit and new regulation had to come in. What we're seeing today is the banking system is facing challenges that new regulation won't be able to get them out of, and there's significant risks in place. So as we know, on Wednesday, Powell's going to announce if he's going to be raising interest rates or not. And I think that's going to be a very crucial moment, because obviously they need to keep fighting to keep inflation down, and they want to continue to raise interest rates. However, we've seen that that exact policy is actually what's destabilizing the collateral held by the banks.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. You said you are in Camp Balaji. So we spoke about Balaji, Srinivasan, former CTO at Coinbase. He has a bet out there that Bitcoin will hit $1 million in 90 days. Do you believe that will happen because of hyperinflation that will happen in the United States? Or do you think this is a big marketing gimmick?
So he actually did a very interesting space a couple of days ago where he addressed this very exact question, and he did it very, very reasonably. He said, look, I don't know if it's going to go to 1 million. It's likely not going to go to 1 million. But if $1 million is what it takes for me, for people to start paying attention, that they have to allocate at least a certain percentage of their liquid net worth into this asset class to be able to protect themselves and hedge themselves against a potentially failing financial system, then I'm willing to do that, right? And obviously, he'll probably make a profit on whatever end with however he structures his trades to make up for that $1 million. But he was the first to acknowledge he has no way of predicting whether Bitcoin will hit $1 million. And actually, the very first bet he made before it got turned into the 1 million was just on U.S. hyperinflation. That was the original bet. And U.S. hyperinflation is defined by a month-over-month increase in prices of 50%. So that's the real bet that he wanted to make. So that means that the price of our groceries, for example, next month will be 50% more than the price of our groceries this month. And frankly, we've seen things that are not that far off during COVID. So I think that's actually a much more reasonable assumption.
So do you see Bitcoin as a flight to safety right now? Will it continue to perform as well as it has over the past week?
Traders always say I can give you the time or I can give you the price, but I can't give you both. And so we don't know that it's going to continue to perform, 30% increases week over week. Nobody really knows that. I think that there's a significant chance that we're heading for a bull run because there is a reason for people to seek this flight to safety. There's a collection of flight to safety assets out there. There's real estate, there's gold, there's luxury goods and cars. There's a lot of things people can buy to hold and hedge themselves against this risk. But as it's been said before, the Bitcoin seems to be the fastest horse in the race. And not only that, Bitcoin is the easiest transaction to get into, right? Especially with Fidelity now opening Bitcoin purchases for retail investors. You don't have to go and close on a house or buy a car or buy gold or do all of these things. You can just, with a click of a button, buy Bitcoin and hedge yourself that way within 30 seconds.
You speak about how Circle's USDC stablecoin DPEG illustrates how crypto and banks are intertwined. Regulators warn banks of a crypto problem, but we're actually seeing crypto having a bank problem. So what's the solution there? And you talk about the Great Reset. What is that?
Sure. I'll try to cover both of those quickly. So I think that there's a narrative right now being pushed by regulators that we should blame crypto for what's happening in the banking system. And it's an incorrect narrative because at the end of the day, the banking system is actually what's hurting crypto, not the other way around. So USDC was depegged because depositors were worried that at least 5% of their deposits of their collateral was held in SVB. And then there was also a potential collateral held in other banks that was also at risk. And so that's why that depegging happened. And we never imagined in a million years that USDC could depeg like that because it is the most law-abiding, regulated stablecoin out there. Your second question on the Great Reset. So this notion of the Great Reset, particularly in the Bitcoin community, presupposes kind of a brave new world in the future where Bitcoin is the store of value and it's the ultimate measurement of money. So something that I envision in the future, for example, is we measure all of our wealth in Bitcoin and then we either sell small pieces of it or we borrow against it in stable coins to make our daily purchases. And so if we're heading towards a digital world where everything is going to be in the metaverse, then Bitcoin will be the currency of that digital world.
Let's leave it there. Tatiana, thanks so much. That was angel investor and mythofmoney.com author Tatiana Koffman.